Hey everyone, this is Lukas Schwekendiek, and today I want to give you a bit of motivation. So, what I want to talk about is this poster right here. Now, many of you have seen this probably in some other videos, and if you know that scene, this is from Rocky, specifically the Rocky Balboa movie that came out in 2006. I encourage you to watch it if you haven't already, but there's one quote that really changed my life, and that's what's written on this poster here. I'm just going to read out the quote for you before I get started into the purpose of this video. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers, saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. And this quote has rippled throughout my entire life and even throughout the lives of many of my clients. And there's a couple of aspects to why I love this quote so much. The first aspect is that it's about persistence. That's the main theme of this quote. And if you look at any self-made successful people, right, we'll exclude the ones that were given all their money, most of them, almost all of them, were persisting to some degree. They've worked and worked and worked and grinded and met failure after failure after failure. Many people really stigmatize success at this point. They're saying like, oh, this person just got lucky. And that's easy to say, being in a job that's more safe than doing something on your own. And something on your own has a much larger chance to fail. And if it fails, it really fails hard. Of course, you can still fail at your job and get fired and all of these things, but it's relatively safe. People that make success, whether it's Elon Musk or Bill Gates or anybody else, many of them struggled through a lot of a history. Steve Jobs struggled through a lot. Elon Musk struggled through a lot of things, and a lot of other successful people have all of these crazy stories about how they met with some negative event and then just persisted through. And you likely have met these same things. And I don't want to compare you to all of these successful people, or make anything like, oh, respect them for what their struggle they've had. It's likely that most of you have it worse in some degree or are struggling right now. But if you want to make it to success, you gotta keep standing up. You gotta keep going. Staying beaten down on the ground, that's the end. The fight's over, that's it. Your dream's done. But every time you stand back up, you give it another chance, even if that's completely unreasonable. As long as you stand up, the fight's not over. But life will keep fighting back, right? And it'll knock you to your knees no matter how good you are, no matter how successful you are. There will always be something that knocks you down. And that's okay. Because all you have to do is stand up one more time. Just once more. And maybe you'll make it. The thing is, many people get beaten down and then point the finger. And say, oh, it was the fault of the government. It was the fault of the country. It was the fault of this person, of my boss, of my partner, of my friend, of whoever. Right? Someone's at fault, just not me. And I'm not saying that's not true. I don't want to get a whole bunch of comments saying, but this is true, right? Yeah, of course. If you're living in a bad country or with a government that's out to get you or doesn't support you all the way, it is going to be harder to become successful. But what good does it do you to point a finger? How is that going to change anything? Now, if you point a finger and then go out and protest or become politically active, that's still you doing something, right? It's you standing up for yourself. But just lying there and saying, writing a comment on Facebook or complaining about it to your friends isn't going to change anything. Your life is going to stay the same. And yes, you could argue the whole awareness thing, and that does make a little bit of a difference. But you're going to remove so much more power of yourself if you just keep pointing fingers and not doing anything beyond that. So stand up and do something for yourself. If you feel you're knocked down, figure out what it is that you can do. Maybe that's not a lot, but it might just be enough to do, to get your life to change. Depressed people, for instance, if you go to therapy with severely depressed people, they believe that their actions don't have any merit. And it's a therapist's job to tell them that their actions do matter and that life does change little by little. And as a coach, I've seen this firsthand with a whole lot of people, with at this point probably hundreds of people, that have changed their life little by little. Almost none of them have had big breaks, and definitely not when they wanted to. Sure, like a break did happen for some, but for 99% of them, they had to do one thing at a time to make that change. And they got beaten down a lot. They worked through it, they stood back up, they did it again. And the quote is just a really good analogy to that, or metaphor. I don't know the difference right now, but it's a very good example of what life is like. But there's even more to that quote, and that's the idea that life isn't going to permanently change. Right? Life is going to always beat you up. Every single day you step into the ring and you fight. And some rounds you win, and some rounds you lose. The thing is, sometimes you're exhausted, but you still have to get into the ring. Life is always there, ready, fully charged again. And it'll fight, and sometimes it'll beat you to your knees, and then sometimes it won't stop punching. And you'll really get hurt. So what? There's an example of, if you're into meme culture at all, you've seen this image. A cartoon character, a dog, sitting in a burning room and just smiling, saying, "This is fine," and just sitting there. Right? But if there's a room on fire, if suddenly the room around you went set ablaze, sitting there and saying "this is fine" is probably the last thing you do. And you wouldn't point fingers at a person saying, "Hey, he started the fire, he needs to put it out," while you sit there as everything around you is burning to the ground. The thing you would do is run. You would do everything in your power to get out of that room. You would probably run even faster than you normally would. You would do everything. You would get hurt, you would hurt yourself, whatever you needed to do to get out of that burning room. Yet when life crumbles around you, or around most people, they don't do anything. They get beat by that and they wallow in self-pity. And guess what that doesn't do? That doesn't stop the fire. That doesn't make things better. When things get tough, you have to get going. You have to go faster than you were before. You have to work harder. And I know that sucks to hear. But it takes more energy to stand up from a beaten down position than it does when you're already standing. Now, whenever you get beaten down, some avenues may close for you, depending on the dream that you have. But as long as you don't give up on your dream, as long as you keep standing up, there's going to be other avenues. There's going to be other ways to reach that same dream. As long as you persist, as long as you stand up one more time and keep moving forward, you still have a fighting chance to get everything that you want to get. But you have to keep getting into it. You have to keep going. You have to keep going out into the dating scene to find that perfect partner. You have to keep working at your job and improving and learning more skills to make it to the top. You have to keep grinding at your business if you want it to succeed. You have to work on yourself if you want to become your own hero. You have to keep working. Life beats everybody up. But the people that succeed are the ones that stand up just one more time. And then that say that the next time, and the time after that, and the time after that. I hope this gave you some motivation. I hope this makes you stand up one more time and go for it. It's not. This didn't turn out so much motivational as I thought it would, but just keep going. Just stand up one more time. Do it not for anybody else, but for you. Because you deserve a better life. So just once more. Just one more time. One more try. One more chance. One more attempt to get the life that you want. Thanks for watching. See you all in the next video.